we have already learned about all the fundamental basic lessons that is measurements, kinematics, and we are learning about laws of motions. Right? So with the help of that, we are going to study about the motion of a system of particles under rigid bodies. So what this lesson is going to teach us? Right? So the word says that motion of a system of particles. So what does motion stands for? Any movement is said to be what? A motion. So the motion is not only for a single particle, it is a system of particles. So we call that as a bulk particles. So we can say that any object is made up of by a very tiny small particles. So let us take this chalk. So this chalk has been made by many tiny chalk particles, and all the chalk particles together will make a shape and use a chalk. Right? So if I throw this chalk, so the entire mass of the chalk will be. So we will not say that only one part of the piece of the chalk is moved there. So one part fall down. We will not able to see. Right? So like that, we are going to study the motion of a system of particles. So many tiny masses is going to constitute an object, and we are going to study about the entire objects is in motion. So what are the conditions we have to see for? And about a rigid bodies. What a rigid stands for? It is a very strong body. Right? Then what do you mean by that? So we can say that when any external forces act on the body, there will be no change in the shape or size of the body. Then that types of bodies are said to be what? A rigid bodies. Right? The word rigid goes for that. There will be no change in the shape or size of a body when any external force acts on the body. So that means what is happening there? There is no change in the nature or harmonic states. So that type of motions. So we are going to study not only for a tiny mass particle, we are going to study for a system of particles and also for a rigid bodies. Till now in mechanics we have studied all the concepts in terms of what point masses. Right? We didn't consider about the size and the shape of a particle. So if you refer your kinematics lessons or also motions or any lessons, we will not mention the shape of the object is circle in shape or a square in shape. It doesn't call for it. Will just say that it is a body of mass, right? So here from that we are studying entire concepts of mechanics in terms of what a point is. So without considering the shape and the size of it. But in this lesson we are going to study the object's motion with respect to its size and the shape. Right? So that is the difference between the learned lesson mechanics as well as this rotational motion. So in mechanics, kinematics, we talk only about the translating motions or linear motions. Here we are going to talk both about the translating motion, rotational motions, and the combination of these two motions. Right? So that is the introduction about these lessons, and we are going to say that the motion of the bodies is we are going to consider till now we have considered without the size and the shape of the. So we say that the bulk body is only we have considered as what? A point object. We consider as a point object. Now in this lesson we are going to consider all the objects in terms of what? Size and shape. So we are going to consider about the bulk bodies. So what is the bulk bodies means? All the tiny masses will be joined together to form a bigger mass. We call that type of bodies with the shape and the size is said to be what? A bulk bodies. Right? So if a bulk body is considered, there are two kinds of forces which will be acting on that. We call that as internal force and an external force. So what do you mean by internal force? The word itself will clearly tell you about what is the internal force. So internal force means what? The force which exists within the body, we can call that as an internal force. And external force is the one, we can say is that external force is the one which will be acting from outside. So in a bulk body, these two kinds of forces will be acts on that. One is called as the internal force, another one is called as what? External force. Then what we are going to say about, we are going to consider about a rigid body. So as we already seen that what is the definition for rigid body? We can say that a rigid body is a one which maintains its definite and a fixed shape even when an external force acts on it. So any external force acts on this body, there will be no change in the shape and size of an object. Then that kind of bodies are said to be what? A rigid body. Let us take this bench. Right? If I take a sitting bench or a chair which is that, if I apply a force on that, what will happen? Do the shape will change? No, the shape will not change. Right? So such kind of body rigid body. When any external force acts on the body, there should not be any change in its shape and size, then that kind of bodies are said to be what? A rigid bodies. Then what is happening there? We can say that when a force acts on the rigid bodies, the interatomic distance between the two atoms will remain the same. We know that, we already studied, right? So what is that? Two atoms are there. The distance between the two atoms are said to be what? The interatomic distance. So the interatomic distance determines that whether the object is in terms of solid, liquid or gas. So we studied these deforming properties in the 7th lesson, that is properties of matter. Here we are going to study about when external force acts on the body, what are the deforming force can act on that. So that is going to determine about what? The bulk bodies. Is it clear to you? So the rigid bodies or the bulk bodies is nothing but because bulk bodies means what? All tiny masses joined together to form a one single object. Then we can call that bodies as what? Bulk bodies. So a rigid body means what? A rigid body is a one that doesn't change in its shape and size when an external force is applied. Means we can call that as what? A rigid bodies. Right. Now we'll go for a term. The term which I have been going to learn in this lesson is called a center of mass. So what is center of mass? So center of mass means all the object will have its center and the entire mass of the object will be acting towards that point. We call that point as what? A center of mass. Is it clear to you? So center of mass will be varying for different shapes. Depending upon the shape of an object, the center of mass varies. So now we'll define the center of mass. What is the center of mass can be? The center of mass of an object or body is defined as a point where the entire mass of the body appears to be concentrated. Right? If I want to make if I take this chalk. So this chalk has been made up of many tiny mass particles, right? So all these mass particles has been concentrated to a center. If I hold at the center, the entire mass will be balanced. A point, right? We can say that point which balances all the masses of this chalk or any object is said to be what? A center of mass. For example, if we consider if I throw any object, right? Then suppose I am throwing a bat. If I throw a bat, the different part of the bat which have different masses will be traveling in a different directions depends upon the direction in which it is moving. Depends upon the type of motion it is moving. Is it clear to you? Right? So the hand, if I take this handle, the handle is not following the same path. Right? It goes on changing depending upon the force which is acting on them. But one point which is having the same path of projectile due to the throwing of a bat, a single point has the same path of projectile. We call that point as a center of mass. Right? So in which it carries the entire mass of the bat. Right? Now handle is not going in one direction. So the body of the bat is not moving in one direction. Right? So entire mass of the bat has been concentrated to a single point, and the single point has one trajectory path. We call that as a projectile path. So through which the object has been traveling. We can call that single point as what? A center of mass. We call that point as what? A center of mass. Right? So all the tiny mass of this particle has been concentrated to this center and it carries the entire mass of the bat through its motion. Right? But the motion of the different points are different, but the central point remains the same. We call that point as what? A center of mass. We call that point as what? The center of mass. Right? So if you want to construct the center of mass for a regular shape and a uniformly mass distributed object, means we can simply say that it is a geometrical center. If I take a circle, the center of mass arrives at the center point. If I take a circle, again it will form at the center. Suppose if I take any other like square or a square or rectangle, then we can say that the diagonal which meets at the center point is said to be what? The center of mass. If I take cuboid like structures, we can say that the body diagonal meets at a point and we call that point as what? The center of mass. So, different shape object and different shape will possess different center of mass. So, we can say that a point where the entire mass of an object has been balanced. If I say about any irregular shape, that will be surely one point will be there at which the entire mass of the body will be balanced by. We can call that point as what? The center of mass. So we can say that the center of mass, all So what we have seen now? Till now we have started about what? The introductions about this lesson. So we have learned about some important terms that we are going to use in this lesson. So first thing we said that what? The motion of the system of particle. Motion of the system of particle means what? System. System stands for what? A group of things said to be what? A system. So all the things are said to be moved along with one particular thing, means we call that as a motion of a system of particles and a rigid bodies. Right? So for that we have considered the bulk bodies, and we say that we are going to study this lessons with considering the size and shape of an object, and we are going to study not only the translating motion, we are going to study both translatory, rotational as well as the combination of this motion in this lesson detail. If we take an example for a wheel, the motion of a wheel, right? The center point of the wheel will be going as what? Continuously, it will be moving in a translating motion. But the outside of the wheel will be moving in a circular rotating motion. Therefore, a motion of a wheel is an example for what? A combination of a translatory as well as a rotational motion. So we are going to learn that in detail in this lesson. For that, we have to read about some of the basic knowledge. One is called as internal force and external force, and the definition of rigid bodies. And we studied about the definition of center of mass. What is center of mass stands for? The point at which the entire mass of the particle will be concentrated and it will be balanced. We can call that as what? A center of mass of an object. So we have learned about the introductions about the lesson, motion of the system of particles and a rigid body. So we have to know clearly about what is meant by a rigid body and a bulk bodies. Right? Bulk bodies means what? It is a assemblation of all the tiny masses put together to form a massive mass. This is called as what? Bulk bodies. What is meant by rigid body? A body in which there will be no change in the shape or size of a body when an external force acts on that. We call that as what? A rigid body. Is it clear to you? Alright. So by studying the rigid body and bulk bodies, we are going to study the motion of these rigid bodies. So we are going to study what? So we are going to study not only a translating motion as well as a rotational motion. The combination of these two motions we are going to study detailing in this lessons. Right? So before going for that, we have learned another basic concept called what? The center of mass. So if any bulk body has been considered instead of a point masses, so we have to say that was what? Center of mass. So a body or any object or a particle has been made by what? Very small tiny particles with masses m1, m2, m3, and we can say go on saying. All this mass has been concentrated towards a point. We call that point as what? Center of mass. So now we are going to calculate the center of mass for a distributed point masses. Why we are going to calculate for that? Because we studied that for a geometrically regular sized objects also, we can say that the geometric center will be the center of mass, and for square or rectangle also, we can say that diagonal these points will be what? Center of mass. And for any irregular shaped object, we have to calculate and estimate the center of mass for that. So for that only, we are going to calculate a formula to establish the center of mass for a different shape. So it is a very simple and easy thing, right? So we are going to say that. So before going to that, we are going to consider all the masses of the particle as a very tiny masses, and we can say that. So all the masses are m1, m2, m3, m4, m5 till mn. We can say that along any axis, x axis, y axis, or z axis, respectively. Right? So all these masses will be concentrated to a point. We call that point as what? A center of mass. So what is a point mass stands for? A point mass is nothing but is a hypothetically point particle, so which has non-zero masses and no sizes or shape. We can call that point as what? A point mass. So we are going to consider all the point mass of the particle, and all these point masses have been grouped together to a center point. We can call that as what? A center of mass. So let us, we can say that along x coordinates, we are going to write the center of mass combination means. We can say that x coordinate axis, each particle of mass m1, m2, m3, m4 has the coordinates on the x axis as what? x1, x2, x3, x4, xn, go on. Right? Then like that coordinates, we can write the x here along x axis. So along x axis, the center of mass is said as summation. What does this stand for? Summation. Summation means what? Addition of all the components. So summation y, etc. So m1 into x1 distance, m2 into x2 distance. So summation of m1 xi divided by the summation of mi. What is summation of mi stands for? m1 to mn, that is nothing but the entire mass of an object. So we can replace the summation of mi into what? Therefore, we can say that along the x coordinate system, we can write that the center of mass along the x coordinate xcm will be given by the equation summation of mi xi divided by m. I stands for 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, etc. It's an integer numbers. Right? Similarly, we can write for y quadrant and z quadrant. So, how the same thing. So, instead of y, we get the quadrants on a what? Y. Instead of x, we have to write what? Y. Instead of y, we have to write what? Z. So, we can write ycm is equal to summation of mi yi divided by m. And zcm is equal to what? Summation of mi zi divided by m. So, it goes on. We can write for all the coordinate systems like that. And all these coordinates together will form for what? The center of mass. Therefore, we can write for the center of mass RCM, the radius of the center of mass is going back from the origin. From the origin, the center of mass has been lies at a distance of what? RCM. So RCM is nothing but the summation of what? XCM plus YCM plus ZCM. So since it is a Cartesian coordinate system, we are representing the axis in terms of what? I, J and K. Right? Therefore, we can write the equation. The position of the center of mass can be written as RCM vector is equal to summation of mi Ri divided by m, where Ri stands for what? Xi plus yi plus zi. So xi into I cap plus yi into j cap and k, what that is zi into k cap. It is the summation of all the vectors at that point. Right? If I take m1, so we can say that x1, y1 and z, the point. So we can say the summation of all the coordinate systems. Therefore, this RCM, the radius RCM center of mass will be equal to summation of m and Ri divided by m. So that is stands for what? The position for the center of mass. Right? So position of the center of mass will be given by the representation of RCM is equal to what? Summation of xcm I cap plus ycm j cap plus zcm and k cap. Nothing. Very simple term. Since we have to write that as an equation in the form of coordinate system, we are introducing a term called ij. So how to write the center of mass? We have to say that summation of mi xi. If any distance has been given, summation of mi ri divided by the total mass. So that is a formula for calculating what? Center of mass of any distributed masses. So with the help of this knowledge, we are going to write a formula for the center of mass to a two-point mass system. So it is what? Any randomly distributed mass system. Now we are going to write for what? A two-point mass system. So two-point masses means what? Instead of considering n number of masses, we are going to consider only what? Two masses. So one is said to be m1 and another one is said to be m2, and we are going to say that both m1 and m2 acts along the direction of what? So it acts along the direction of positive x-axis. So we can say that m1 is at the distance of x1 and m2 will be at the distance of what? x2, and center of mass will be at the distance of what? xcm. Center of mass will be at the distance of what? xcm. Therefore, as per the same equation, we are going to write that the center of mass xcm will be equal to, this is only one coordinate system, right? So xcm will be equal to m1 into x1 plus m2 into x2, summation of mi xi. So we have to add all the x coordinate terms with respect to mass. So here only two masses are there and two x-axes are there. So we can say that m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by the total mass. What is the total mass? M1 plus m2. So that is the equation. Very simple, isn't it? So xcm is equal to what? m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. Right? Is that clear? Right. Now we are going for the next condition when the origin is coincides with any one of the mass. So what we are going to say that? So one of the mass, this is origin point, and this mass m1 is going to coincide with this mass, then there will be no x1 value will be there. Right? So only we have what? Center of mass and one x1 and x2 value will be there. So now we are going to see. So now what we are going to do? We are going to coincide the value m1 with the origin. See this diagram. So m1 has been given to the origin and the center of mass has been given and m2 mass. The equation will be reduced to this way. Is it clear? Is it very simple? Yes. Right? Similarly, what we are going to say, instead of mass is going to consider the origin, we are going to consider the center of mass to be at the origin. So M1 will along the negative x-axis and M2 will be along the positive x-axis. Therefore, this distance is said to be minus x1 and this distance is said to be plus x2 from the origin. Therefore, the center of mass is 0 means HCM will become to be 0. So 0 is equal to M1 minus x1 plus M2 x2 divided by M1 plus M2. When I take this to other side, M1 M2 will get advantage. Therefore, we get what? Minus M1 x1 plus M2 x2. If I take minus on one side, we get what? M1 x1 is equal to M2 x2. We call this condition as a principle of moment. So both the equations will remain the same. So it's a very simple to calculate the center of mass for the various distributed masses. So only we have to find the position of the masses with respect to its origin, and from that easily we can product the mass with that and we can easily able to calculate. So this is only x coordinates. If we are going to draw this diagram along the y coordinates, so instead of x we will get what? Y. If we are going to draw along for z coordinates, we are going to get z. If we are going to draw for 3-dimensional, we will get what? R. That's the difference, right? So there is no confusion about what? Y is x. Most probably we will use what? X into the value and we will study that, and the equation has this form. So you have to remember the equation. The center of mass equation they are asking to write for you. You have to say that it is nothing but summation of m and xi divided by the total masses. So we call that as what? The center of mass equation. So we have studied the distributed masses and we have studied for what? The 2-point masses, and with the help of these 2-point masses we are going to solve the problems for this. So you have to remember this equation, right? So if from the diagram itself we can easily able to write this equation. So m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by the total masses. So we can have to apply the equations and we have to solve the problems. Right? We will do that. So now we will see the example 5.1 with the help of what? The same center of mass for the 2-point masses. Right? So I will use the book for studying the problem, right? So you refer your book. So listen to the problem example 5.1. So what is that? The 2-point masses 3 kg and 5 kg or at a 4 meter and 8 meter from the origin. So what they are saying? So they are saying that they are taking two masses. One mass is of 3 kg and another mass is of what? 5 kg. And the 3 kg mass is 4 meter from the origin and the 5 kg mass is 8 meter from the origin along x-axis, and they are asked us to locate the position of a center of mass of the 2-point masses at the case 1 from the origin and case 2 from 3 kg masses. So we have to place in the second case, we have to place the 3 kg mass at the origin. Then we have to use the formula to calculate the center of mass for these two different positions. So you can able to understand the problem what they are saying. So what they are saying, we have taken two masses, one mass is 3 kg and one mass is what? 5 kg, and these are at some distance 4 meter and 8 meter along x-axis. They are asking us to calculate center of mass. Very simple and easy problem. So we have to draw it up. So we will draw it up and we say that this is a point O origin and we will mark the 3 kg and 3 kg is from origin it is 4 meter and 5 kg is of the distance of 8 meter. Therefore at this center we will mark the center of mass and we say that the center of mass is at what? HCM. Then what is the equation we learn? So HCM is equal to what? M1 x1 plus M2 x2 divided by M1 plus x2. What is M1 value is 3. X1 value is what? 4. Right? This is x1 and this distance is x2. Again 5 kg into 8 divided by the total mass 3 plus 5. So if we multiply and simplify we get what? 52 by 8, then that is equal to 6.5. Therefore say that from the origin the center of mass is at the point of what? 6.5. So easily we have calculated the center of mass for the two masses which is acting along what? X-axis. Is it clear? So from the origin the center of mass value is what? 6.5. Right? Now they are asked us to calculate the second cases to find the center of mass from the 3 kg mass. So we have to take the 3 kg mass at the origin, therefore no x1 value is there. So here only we have to show our cleverness. So we should not take the x2 value to be 8. So here this becomes to be what? This is origin. From here we have to measure the values. From here what? So from origin till this 8 kilometer. So 8 meter. So here till here it is 4 meter. Then what is the distance between 3 kg and 5 kg? Here it is 4 meter only, right? what? 4 meter. So only this thing is very important. Definitely you have to act on this problem, right? So instead of simply by blind, we should not take x to 5 kg is 8. Because we are taking the point. If we take the point from the origin, the value will be 8. But we are taking the point from what? 3 kg. So we have to take the value to be what? 4. Now we use the same formula. 3 into 0, no value, x1. So plus 5 into 4 divided by total mass, it gives a value of what? 2.4. So it is clearly said. So we can say that the point 3 kg mass is at 2.5 distance to the center of mass, and we can say that 5 kg mass is 1.5 times the center of mass. So if you add this is 2.5, this is 1.5. So 2.5 plus 1.5 gives you what? 4 meter, right? Is it clear to you? So we can say that this problem clearly tells us what? The 3 kg mass is at the distance of 2.5 meter from the center of mass, and we can say that 5 kg mass is 1.5. Therefore, we can say that the mass which is very heavier, the center of mass will be closer to that. Here this is 2.5. This one is what? 2.5. This is what? 1.5. Which is lesser. 1.5 is lesser. So we can easily say that although the center of mass will be not located at the center, we can say that the center of mass always located to the point closer to the heavier masses. Which is heavier mass? 5 kg is the heavier mass. So it is not lying at the center. It is lying slightly shifted towards what? The heavier mass. So if we verify the center of mass, we say that, so you can say the principle of moment. What is the principle of moment gives? M1 x1 is equal to what? M2 x2. So M1. So M1 is what? 3 into 2.5. We multiply that. We give the value equal 5 into 1.5. That clearly says that the center of mass will be located somewhat nearer to the greater mass. Is it clear? See, is that simple? The problem is very simple. Yes. The concept is very simple. Center of mass equation means simply we have to write summation of m1 x1. Right? Summation of m1 x1 divided by the total mass. So if 2 mass is considered, the formula will be like this. If 3 mass is considered, how have to write it? m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus m3 x3 divided by m1 plus m2 plus m3. How many masses are there? You have to simply add the product of mass and distance, and you have to divide it by what? By total mass. So that gives you the center of mass calculation. Is it clear? Right. Next we will work on the similar line, problem 5.2 example. So now we will move for the second problem. It is a very interesting and very important problem that will be asked in the examination, which is example 5.2. So we have to first understand about the problem. Let us read the problem now. So from a uniform disk of radius r. So we are going to take a disk shaped object and it is having a radius for r. A small disk of radius r by 2 is cut. So from a whole circle, so we are going to cut this. Like we consider this is a whole disk and this is of radius r. From that we are going to divide r by 2 radius. This circle has been taken out from that. Right? So it's removed as shown in the diagram and find the center of mass of the remaining portions of the disk. So we are going to consider not for the entire disk, we are not going to consider the center of mass. We are going to consider center of mass for this area. So because this area has been removed. Is the problem clear? So we have taken a disk of radius r. So in that r by 2 radius disk. So this is r by 2 is the half of that. This radius has been taken from that, and we are going to consider the center of mass of the remaining particle. So let us consider capital M. So capital M will be the entire mass of an object. Capital M will be the what? So it is the entire mass of the disk, and we can say that this part which has been cut and taken out as what? Small. Then what is the remaining mass of an object? The total mass is m. The mass which has been taken out is what? Small m. Therefore the left out mass is what? Capital M minus m. Is that clear? Right? So we are going to consider that, and we are going to write the principle of homogeneity for that. So we are going to say that from this point, right? So this distance is x, this m minus x is at the distance x, and the small m will be at the distance of what? R by 2. Therefore, using this principle of moment, m1 x1 is equal to m2 x2. Here I am going to consider m1 as what? M minus m into the distance is what? X. So into x. Then what is this m? M is a small one. This distance is of what? R by 2. R by 2. So from that x is found to be what? We don't know. So the center of mass has been shifted toward a point. So we don't know at what distance it has been shifted. So actually if I take this circle means the center of mass will be here. Since this has been removed, the center of mass has been shifted by distance of x. So we manually consider the point x by area. Volume means what? Mass by volume. That is the difference. So linear mass means mass by volume. Surface means mass by area. Volume means mass by volume. Here we are going to consider surface mass density. We are writing as sigma. Sigma is equal to m divided by pi r square. The area. Area of the circle is said to be what? Pi r square. So we'll keep. Similarly, we are going to write for what? Mass for a small distance. So mass for a small distance. Mass can be written as what? Surface mass density into the area. So mass for a small distance has been removed out is equal to y. M is equal to surface mass density into area. So that area pi r square becomes to be pi r by 2 the whole square. Because the small distance radius is what? R by 2. You have to represent in the term. So R by 2 square. Right? So the sigma value, we know that the sigma value is going to be m into pi r square. We are substituting for this value and we are substituting, so if we cancel it, the small mass will be nothing but the capital mass divided by 4. Right? So we have found the value of what? Small mass. We have found the value of what? X. So we are going to substitute the value of f, m in this equation. So we are going to substitute 2 in this equation. We have to m by 4. 30m minus m by 4 into r by 2. So m minus m by 4 is what? 3m by 4. If I cancel, it gives r by 6. Therefore, it says that the center of mass has been shifted to a distance of r by 6 distance from the left side of the origin. So therefore, we can easily able to estimate what? The center of mass. Right? So while many problems will be in this method, you have to use this technique of surface mass density. Right? So first, using the principle of moment, we have estimated the distance x can be like this. Then we want to find the value of small n. We have used the formula what? Surface mass density and we have calculated. Is that clear to you? Right? So because this is a very important problem to practice this, if that is any doubt, we will clarify. Right? So we go for the next problem 5.3. Okay. Now we will go for the example 5.3. It is a very easy and a very frequently asked problem in your board examination. Right? Like this problem 1 going to be asked. So what like this? So we'll see that. So 5.3. What does 5.3 says? Yes, read the problem now. So I have taken the two position vectors. Position vectors means it has x, y and z. So two position vector of 2 point masses of 10 kg and 5 kg are given as minus 3i plus 2j plus 4k and 3i, 6k and 5k meter respectively, and they are asking us to locate the position of the center. So they have given two position and they have given two masses and they are asking us to find. So it is not a single coordinate system, it has what? 3 coordinate system. So till now what we have seen is a single coordinate system. Now we are going to follow 3 coordinate system, the same formula. So instead of writing x, y, z, we will write it as what? R. So R vector is equal to what? R is what? A position vector for the center of mass is equal to m1 into r1. R1 is what? Position vector for the mass. M1. R2 is what? A position vector for the mass m2. So m1 r1 vector plus m2 r2 vector divided by m1 plus m2. The same formula. If it is on the x-axis, how we will write? m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. Since it is a 3 coordinate system, we are writing in terms of what? A position vector. Right? So what is m1 as 10 kg? What is r1 as this one? What is m2 as 5 kg? What is r2 as this? So we have to divided by the total mass m plus 1. So I'm not going to do the problem. You are going to finish the problem now. So what is that? So we have to simply multiply 10 with each term. So we get what? Minus 30i plus 20i for 20j plus 40k. Here we have to multiply again. 5 is 59. Again it becomes to be 30j. Then it becomes to be 25k. Then we have to add the I cap, add the j cap and add the k cap and we have to divide it by 15. Then we have to find the value. So we have to find the value of what? R vector. R vector is what? The position vector for the center of mass. So it is a very for the 3 problems what we have seen today is a very important problem which is a frequently a board examination related problem. It can be asked in 3 weeks. Okay, practice the problems and till now we have studied about the introduction about the motion of system of particles and rigid body and we have studied about the center of mass. So in our next class or next video we will detail study about the center of mass in a differential manner and we will go for the different problems. Right? So do your assignments.